The Knicks just finished getting smacked by the Milwaukee Bucks, and Chris and I are here to break it all down. What's up, guys? It's your boy Dariel and Chris from Knicks Digest. And Chris, man, yo, first and foremost, I need an ISO right now. ISO Dariel right now, bro. You feel me?
Go for it.
So listen, I'm gonna try and not be scatterbrained about this. I'm gonna try and fully get out my fully formed thoughts. So let's start off with the announcement of the in-season tournament. I was a fan of it. I like the bolt of energy that Adam Silver and the NBA they're trying to give into the regular season. I was a fan of it. So now the in-season tournament starts. The Knicks, as I'm watching the games, I'm like, okay, cool. The Knicks are winning, cool. And then obviously we find out that they're gonna be a wild card, and I'm like, okay, cool. They made it to the next round. I'm satisfied. I'm not like over the moon. So I'm like, okay, they make it to the next round, wild card. We find out that we're playing the Milwaukee Bucks. I'm like, whatever, it's cool, like in season, new energy, I'm for it. And then I watched the Indiana game last night. And I'm seeing like, yo, these dudes want it, bro. The bench is looking like a college team. Halliburton is playing out of his mind. And then I'm starting to think, I'm like, yo, like we should be going for this. Like I don't want to see the players trying to act all cool, trying to be too cool for school. I want to see them like the Indiana Pacers. I want to see the bench going crazy. I want to see the energy. I want to see the excitement because the next thought that popped into my mind, I was like, yo, we haven't won jack since 1973. That's the last time the Knicks have an NBA championship. And this being the first ever in-season tournament, the Knicks are they're they're past the group play. Now it's single game elimination. Yo, you're all the way over. You're all the way this far. You might as well go for it. And like I just said, we haven't won jack. The Knicks, we have a chance of actually winning something and being looked at as a winning franchise. Ever since 1973, it's been playoff disappointments all throughout the 90s because of Michael Jordan. The lockout year where it was I think 99 2000 when the Spurs beat the Knicks. That's the only other time where we were in the NBA Finals or had a really deep playoff run. And then ever since then, it's been two playoff series wins. One's with Melo in 2012, 2013, I believe. And then the other one was last season when Jalen Brunson when they beat the Cavs in five. Those, since the 99 2000 NBA Finals run, those are the only two playoff series wins we have, bro. That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing, bro. We're New York. We're one of the best cities in the world, and we don't have the resume that other NBA teams have, bro. And now to bring it back to tonight's game, I'm hella disappointed. I'm hella frustrated because I didn't see the desperation. Julius Randle had a great game, cool, but it's like even Randle had his moments where I didn't see the desperation, bro. It's like they made like a little 7-0 run, and then next thing you know, Milwaukee hits a three, and then like their energy is completely shot. I'm like, why is your energy shot off of 1-3? Let me see you trying to get back into the game. You guys need to win this. Show the fans, show New York that you guys are actually trying to do this, bro. And I'm just disappointed, man. And then I'm gonna get to another thought, but I don't wanna take the first 10 minutes up. So just give me your thoughts and tell me about what you think about the game, how you feel.
I mean, I completely agree with you where the Pacers, they looked like they wanted it. And when I was watching that game, you could tell the Celtics wanted it also. And the Celtics are a team that have had deep playoff runs. So it doesn't, and they also won a championship in 2008, which in the grand scheme of things is not that long ago.
Right.
Like most people who are Celtics fans have had a championship in their lifetime, whether they were young for it or not, it doesn't matter. The Celtics wanted it last night. The Knicks didn't show that same energy. The only excuse I could sort of give towards why the Pacers wanted it so much is they've spent the last few seasons not being a good basketball team. But then my argument that I could make completely gets thwarted by the fact that the Bucks had crazy energy and the Celtics had crazy energy. Both those teams wanted it. Really my big problem with tonight, because I really think the main thing is just he didn't play badly, but it was just not Jalen Brunson's best game, and he's so tremendous. He's had a great season. This is also the first time the Knicks have ever been truly and fully blown out. Like the Pelicans game a couple weeks back, that was ugly. But it wasn't a blowout in terms of there was just always a few moments where it's like, oh, maybe we can go on a run now and come back. And then the Bucks just hit a three, and we're like, oh. Where the Pelicans game was, it was the Knicks started bad, got it together, tied the game, took a lead, lost the game by what looked like a blowout, but the Knicks were able to come back. The Knicks were playing catch up basically the entire second half, and they just let the Bucks shoot the ball. Like they just fully let the Bucks shoot. They said, shoot the ball. We're not going to guard threes. And the Knicks also didn't shoot enough threes. First of all, they shot 7 of 23 from three, which is hideous. But it's more,
God awful.
the Milwaukee Bucks have bad perimeter defense to begin with, especially when it comes to a contender. They have atrocious perimeter defense. Also, they don't guard threes. The Milwaukee Bucks are known to not guard the three that well. And the Knicks didn't try to take advantage of that. Brunson did, but once he missed 5 threes, he was like, okay, it's not my night. I'm over 5 from 3. I'm going to cool it. I don't even mind Randall only shooting 2 threes because I like when he tries to score inside more and doesn't settle for jump shots. But Quentin Grimes took 1 3 all game. He took 1 shot. I don't care if you're contested. Start shooting the ball. We know you can hit them. Believe in yourself. DiVincenzo went 1 for 4. Josh Hart only took that 1 3 where it took him 5 years to shoot the ball, where he just held it for a good 5 seconds before shooting. He thought about it completely. They didn't shoot enough threes. They didn't try to get enough threes. They fully tried to work inside on a team that has Giannis and Brook Lopez, both of whom are always in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. This was just a dumb game by the Knicks. The best way to put it is it was just dumb. Like, I don't know what they were thinking.
You said something that stood out to me. The Milwaukee Bucks being a terrible perimeter defensive team. Like, just because they have Dame and Giannis, everybody is kind of looking at this team as being like a really serious contender. But as far as right now, they're not there yet. This is why I'm so disappointed, because the Knicks, this was an absolute winnable game for the Knicks. And it's just like, in the first half they were keeping up pace with the Bucks, but then again the third quarter is what always messes us up. We even have horrible third quarter starts this season. I don't know what the hell happened this season. I don't know what Tibbs is saying to them at halftime, but we've been having consistently bad third quarter starts, and that's what really maybe, and that's what really messed us up, man. But God, man, it's like this was such a winnable game, and that's part of the frustration. It's like, why are you guys acting like you guys already lost? Like, this is like Dame and Giannis, like they're still figuring stuff out. It's not like this. It's not like, I mean, not any duo is gonna be Kobe and Shaq, because they're obviously the most dominant duo probably ever in the NBA. But like, you got 2 NBA top 75 players on the same team. But they're still figuring it out, and the rest of the league knows that. And you have a rookie coach, Adrian Griffin. It's like, yo, they have a lot of flaws. They have a lot of you could attack these flaws, and you could lead Milwaukee with the win. Now, this is gonna lead me to my next point, and I don't care if I'm overly hyped. I don't care if I'm in the moment, because I'm not blaming this game on Julius Randle. I am not blaming this game on Julius Randle at all. He had a tremendous game, mad respect. But what I'm looking at is just the overall theme of tonight. The overall theme tonight is what Mike Breen and Walt Clyde Frazier said on air. I literally said this to my brother right before they said it. I'm like, the Knicks, as of right now in this moment, they're good enough to beat the teams that they should beat. But when they go up against teams that are elite or that are a little bit better than them, I don't know what happens. They either show up to play or they don't. And tonight they didn't show up to play. So this is finally leading me to what I'm gonna say. It's time. It's time to make a move. I'm over this. And another thing, Emmanuel, quickly, when the hell are you gonna show up when we need you to show up, bro? The playoff series against Atlanta and the season after the COVID season, Emmanuel quickly did not show up. Julius Randle, the whole defense was predicated around him. He did not show up. He was the offensive main weapon on that team, and they shut him down. Derrick Rose couldn't help, and then Emmanuel quickly was having a great season, and of course, playoff shows up, he doesn't show up. The next season, the Knicks don't make the playoffs. Last season, against the Cavs when they won in 5, the Knicks won, great. Jalen Brunson did his thing, but quickly you could say didn't really show up. And then the next round against the Miami Heat, he gets injured, I think, in Game 2, but prior to Game 2, he wasn't really having a good series. When are you going to show up and actually be the player that we need you to be when it's fucking crunch time? Emmanuel quickly, I'm over it, bro. Julius Randle, like, it's time to make a move, bro. I keep saying it. The ceiling of this team is reached its peak. I'm tired of seeing the same thing over and over. Prior to Jalen Brunson coming to the team last season, the team it's been relatively the same. Emmanuel quickly, Grimes, Randle,
RJ, Mitch.
Oh yeah, RJ, obviously. RJ and Mitch. Like, it's relative. We've had the same core for quite some time now, and what are we getting out of it? I'm done. Yo, that's it. We need to make a move, bro. Emmanuel quickly and Julius Randle, they need to be the center of that piece to see what we can get. I'm over this.
Yeah, I mean, I think something that happened to the Knicks where you can't pin this on anyone or anything other than truly unfortunate timing is that the Knicks were a franchise that was an absolute disaster. When they traded for Melo, they obviously gave up every single role player that they had, and
That
then
was a bad
that's
trade, by the way. My opinion.
okay. I'm not going to go into that.
Yeah.
You know how I feel. We will get into that one day. But
Facts.
right now, when they traded for Melo, obviously they gave up a million role players, and they were thin. They lost in the first round as a 7th seed. I believe they got swept by the Celtics. Maybe it went to 5. I'm almost positive it was a sweep.
Yeah.
And essentially, ever since then, they had moments where they were able to sign good players because they had Carmelo. They had that draw of a guy who was a true NBA superstar, who was one of the best players in the league. Then they didn't, because as good as Melo was, he tore that muscle in his knee, and they never had anyone help him. He tried to make different sacrifices for the Knicks. It didn't work. Eventually, they move on from him. And sure, you get the draft pick that gets you Mitchell Robinson. That's tremendous. But they were just bad ever since then. Julius Randle comes to the Knicks and has that bad first year. I don't really blame anyone specifically. I think the Knicks as a whole were bad, but it was also a lot to do with Fizdale. Like, the roster sucked, so it didn't help Fizdale. Fizdale wasn't great. That didn't help the roster. When Mike Miller came in, Julius instantly picked up his play. The next season, Tibbs is there. Randle shows up and gets way too good way too quickly. Julius Randle having that breakout season, very low key, was not a great thing for the New York Knicks in the grand scheme of things. Am I happy it happened? Yes. Because if he didn't break out, they would not have gotten Jalen Brunson, who is the best thing to happen to the Knicks since Carmelo Anthony.
I get what you're saying. Mm-hmm.
But Randall's breakout, of all the good things that it caused, such as a playoff appearance, such as getting Brunson, such as having a legit team that went to the second round, had a real pathway to the NBA Finals last year, there were its downsides, such as the Knicks got too good too quickly, and now they're in a spot where it's not clear if they're a contender or if they're just waiting for the young guys to improve, but it's wonky because Randall's 27, Randall's 29, Brunson's 27, and sure, Brunson's got time that Brunson's probably going to be in his prime for at least another 6 years, so that's not a concern. And Julius is a tremendous player, but yeah, they're in a weird spot right now, so they're going to need to figure out their direction. And I think for the rest of this season, seeing how good this core isn't the worst thing in the world. But it's one of those things where I don't want to say rebuild because that's not exactly the word that I'm looking for. But I think they're in position with all their draft picks where they should take some sort of a risk. Because you are right. Whereas we're looking at the Eastern Conference, and I do want to bring something up, but I'm going to throw it back to you before I go there, which is the Knicks are not in the top tier. They're not the Bucks. They're not the Celtics. Are both those teams flawed? Yes. Theoretically, could the Knicks win a 7-game series in the playoffs against both those teams? Yes, I do believe so. Do I think it's likely? No, I do not. I think they could beat the Bucks in a 7-game series easier. Tonight, 100%. What happened is they didn't guard the three and they didn't shoot threes. So if the Knicks were to do some sort of trade, you have to get more shooting on this team. And Quentin Grimes has to get his head together because now I believe it's in his head. I believe it was the wrist thing. And then he got in his head. He's like, oh, my wrist is messed up. I need to alter my shot or whatever. Now he's fully in his head thinking, what if I miss again before every three he takes? You played professional basketball. If you're thinking, what if I miss, you're going to miss that shot.
No, 100%. I mean, I get it. The confidence is not there with Quentin Grimes, but the only way to get out of that slump is to keep shooting. Like, it's hard. Like, yeah, I get it. Like, your confidence is low. You're already thinking that it's not going to go in, but you still got to take the shot. It's really hard to break through that, but the only way to break through it is to actually do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just Quentin Grimes is a little bit of a hard spot, but in a tough spot.
To defend Emmanuel quickly, and not just because him and I play 2K together sometimes, the first season where he played badly in the playoffs, there's so much pressure on you. When you're a rookie and you're on this team that has never made the playoffs in 5 million years, and you're back in the playoffs, there's an amount of pressure. And am I saying that you're okay not living up to that pressure? No, you have to show up. I haven't played in the playoffs before isn't an excuse because Jason Tatum almost went to the finals in his rookie year. And yes, Jason Tatum's a tremendous player. We all knew it was coming with the NBA superstardom, and it's here. But still, we've seen rookies play well in the playoffs, even if they're role players or whatever. And then the injury, I would like to see Randall get a healthy playoff appearance where he's not exhausted from having to carry the Knicks for an entire season. I would like to see Emmanuel quickly kind of get in a flow and then be in the playoffs. I think this year's playoff appearance matters so much. For instance, if they get bounced in the first round, then you ring every alarm bell and you're like, we have a serious problem because we have Jalen Brunson, but this team doesn't work. And Jalen Brunson, as great as he is, he's not ever going to be the best player on a championship team. I think I think he could be the leading scorer potentially, but he cannot be the best player on a championship team. And that is what the Knicks are missing. And it's going to be really hard to get that piece because the easiest way to get that historically is through the draft. And it's pretty rare that you're not picking that guy in the top 5.
Yo, but Chris, I get what you're saying about like let's see what the team does by the end of the season. I get it, but there's been a lot of rumors about certain players that are out there on the market that are not happy with their team or that the Knicks are interested in. Like the trade deadline obviously is once every year, and you don't think that the Knicks should be a little bit more. They should be a little bit more interested than in past seasons. Like, shouldn't they, like, instead of just like calling other teams to see who's available, shouldn't they be like thinking about making an offer?
Yes, I do think they should. I don't think you're wrong there. I think you're absolutely right that they should be active. I don't think they should make a panic move, and I know that's not what you're saying either, but it's like,
No, definitely.
I think it sort of depends on the market, like who's available, and just something very quickly to add in, because we are sort of not going off track per se, but sort of leaving a conversation topic. The Knicks' main thing and the whole New York basketball thing, I'm going to give a quick shout out to this basketball organization in New York called Steady Buckets. Their motto is outwork them. That is New York basketball's motto. You go in there and you outwork the opposing team. You have the higher energy. If there's a 50-50 ball, you're getting it. You're ruthless. You're tough. You're unshaken in the moment. That is the epitome of New York basketball, and we didn't see that tonight. Yeah, and just one thing I want to add is that Kenny Smith before the game said the Knicks' big problem is that when you go against top-tier teams, if you're the New York Knicks, you're never going to have the best player on the court. And I love Jalen Brunson, and I love Julius Randle more than 95% of Knicks fans. There is a 50 or 40% of Knicks fans who, if Julius Randle pulled someone out of a burning building, those Knicks fans would blame Julius for the building being on fire, because that is how Knicks fans can be with Julius Randle. But if you look at the Knicks as a whole, Randle or Brunson, take your pick who the best player on the team is. I'm going to say Jalen Brunson. I think most people would.
They should.
They're not better than Giannis. They're not better than Joel Embiid.
No.
They're not better than Jason Tatum.
No.
Is Jalen Brunson better than Jaylen Brown? Yes. Is he better than Jason Tatum? No. The Knicks are always going to have the second best player on the court. There is one player on each of the top each of the 3 best teams in the Eastern Conference. They all have a player better than the Knicks' best player. And those were the 3 other teams with the Knicks in the Eastern Conference semifinals last year. Or, well, not the Bucks because Jimmy Butler. But you can even add Jimmy Butler because he's taken 2 different Miami Heat teams over the last 4 years to the NBA Finals. So you can't go out and say Brunson's better, even though he did have the better series than Jimmy Butler in the playoffs last year. Butler has done more with similar amounts of talent.
All right, man. So listen, if you're watching this, leave it in the comments. What do you think about tonight's game? Are you as disappointed as me and Chris? Or if you think the in-season tournament was really just a gimmick to begin with and you're not that upset, let us know in the comments. But for Chris and I, we're going to sign off and we'll check you guys out on the next video. Peace.